So you're using a free stock trading platform aimed for beginners where the chart looks something like this, and you're not sure where to buy or sell. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to go from this to this and how to actually read this market chart. Welcome everybody. My name is Mal. I am a stock trader. I'm an investor and I primarily trade breakouts. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about some Boeing news as well as the market chart of Boeing and potentially how to trade it. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mal. I'm a day trader. I'm also an investor. And this channel focuses on giving beginners access to information I wish I had when I started, so you can learn to read the market for yourself and make your own educated decisions. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about some Boeing news as well as how to read the market chart and to make a prediction as to where we think the market is likely to go next. Boeing stock sinks as the market goes higher. This is the news on Boeing that came out this week. In the latest trading session, Boeing, ticker symbol BA, closed at $309, making a negative 1.39% move from the previous day's close. This is all at the same time as the S&P and the aerospace sector gained 3.23% for the S&P as 2.82% for the aerospace sector. BA will be looking to display strength as it nears its next earning release. So earnings are just around the corner for Boeing, which is expected on January 29th, 2020. The projected earnings are $1.37 per share, which would represent a year-over-year decline of 68.3%. That is not good for Boeing. And of course, the 737 MAX is grounded, causing Boeing to lose billions of dollars. So this is just one article that's talking about potential investment opportunities in Boeing. The next piece of news I want to look at for Boeing, as this asset management group cuts its position in shares of the Boeing company by 2%. So this management group's portfolio is made up of 6.2% of Boeing stock. The management group fund owned almost 250,000 shares of this aircraft producer's stock after selling 5,000 shares during the quarter. Boeing accounts for 62% of the management's investing portfolio, making the stock its third biggest holding. So this is actually not good news. So there's a couple of things that come to mind immediately between those two articles. The first thing is Boeing is losing lots of money. Planes are grounded and earnings are coming up. So that is a very bearish sign. If you're not sure what bearish means basically that sellers are in control and the stock is likely to go lower. The other thing that comes to mind is this management group sold 5,000 shares, causing the stock to go down. So now we have long-term investors like this management group that have a pretty high stake in Boeing. And the outlook from their point of view is not so good for Boeing. Now, Boeing is a very big company, and I'm sure long-term it's going to do fine and the stock will bounce. But for the time being, the outlook is bearish. So this is telling me that they're selling their shares, causing the price to go down. And as a trader, what we can do is we can actually sell the stock short. If you're not familiar with what that means, basically it means that we can borrow shares from our broker and we can sell them first and buy them back later. The brokerage basically gives us the difference between the two. Between the investors selling their shares because of continuously bad news on Boeing and short sellers like me coming into the market, this ends up pushing the price of the stock much lower. And we'll talk about that in this video. What we're looking at here is a chart on Boeing, ticker symbol BA up in the top left-hand corner. I am on my thinkorswim platform looking at a candlestick chart. If you don't know what a candlestick chart is or how to read them, check out my previous video. I'll put the card in the top right-hand corner so you can check that out. It goes over how to read candlesticks and how to enter breakouts. Looking at this chart, I immediately notice a couple of things. So this is a daily chart, meaning that every day a candlestick forms and closes. So the first thing I immediately notice is the area of support where price got rejected, represented by this horizontal red line here. All right, so if we zoom out a little bit, I see the stock was at an all-time high of 446. Since then, it's made a move lower, followed by a very small retracement. And then we've kind of come down to this area here. This was a very small area of support. We came up and then we broke it, right? So then we kind of come back, chop sideways for a little while, and we have a nice bounce right off of this area. So this bounce here is showing me the rejection of lower prices for the time being. Then what we do is we come up and we come back down into the same area. Let me copy that. We have another bounce here. And then a few more, right? So this is telling me this was a strong area of support for a while. If you don't know what support is, I will talk more in depth in my later videos. But basically, support is an area where buyers stepped in and found a good value, where price got rejected, right? So where price held. So we see that we've come down in this area once, twice, 3 times, and then 4 times, right? So the price was holding this area of roughly $320, $325. It was an area of support. So we've come down here, right? We come back up, and each time we bounce, we're making lower highs until the break. And this is what I want to talk about. So if I zoom in here on this daily chart, looked like the price was holding fairly well right at this area. And now we've broken through, and now we're coming back in to that structure. Now previous support now turns resistance. So the expectation for me is for the market to go lower. Anyone that's been around in trading for a long time knows that nothing in the market is guaranteed. But this puts us on alert for bearishness. That is my expectation. So if I was to trade this, how would I trade it? Well, let's take a look. I went ahead and deleted some lines so you could see it a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. So we know we're forming lower highs, which puts us on alert for a bearish rotation. And also, as a breakout / breakdown trader, I would be looking at getting in potentially right here. So my entry would be on the break of this low right here. Now, you could have a very aggressive stop. If you're trading this on the daily, this is the daily time frame, and this is more for swing trading. You could have an aggressive stop here if you wanted to. Now, if you're not sure what a stop loss is, I go over that in my previous video. But basically, a stop loss means that if I'm wrong, this is where I will be taken out. All right, so here's my stop, and my risk would look something like this. Now, this is very aggressive, but if you wanted to, this is what it would look like. And my reward would look something like this. And your target would be down here. This is pretty aggressive. Let me remove this box. If you're not an aggressive trader, you're conservative, your stop can go up here. And you would still be holding this trade. So looking at this chart, there's a couple of things that I'm immediately noticing. We're continuously making lower highs. We have a high here. We have a high here. We have actually a double top here, which we'll talk about in the later videos. And we're continuously making lower highs. This high is a little bit higher than this high, but overall, we're going down. Plus, we have a large wick here showing us rejection of higher prices until we finally break it. So investors are pulling out of the market because of all the negative news, and traders are selling the market short, which is causing the price to go down. So if we're looking to potentially see where we could go down to so we can take our profit, we can go out to the weekly and look for some support and resistance areas. All right, I am on the weekly time frame, and the first thing I notice is these two candles, one here and one here, plus this top here. So I would say we have a strong level of support right around this area. We have a bounce here, a bounce here, and a bounce here. And we recently come down into this area and rejected. We've actually put in a bottoming tail here. Now, if you don't know how to read this, check out my previous video. I talk about how to read candlesticks, topping tails, bottoming tails, and what it's actually showing us. So we know from the previous video that this bottoming tail here is rejection of lower prices for the time being. If we break this area of $299, $300, I think we have room to go down to right about $260. Right about here or about here. So 246 to 260 that would be my prediction if we break this area. At which point more investors will probably step in and buy the market, and then we'll probably chop around for a while here. Possibly something like that. If any of this information was helpful to you, subscribing and hitting the like button will let the YouTube algorithm know that there's quality content in this video. If you'd like to see this video get recommended to more people, leaving a comment will help the algorithm do that. Leave me a comment below. I plan on picking some similar themed comments and questions to talk about in my upcoming videos. That's all for now. I'll see you in my next video.